Hey friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning into What Does It Take to Win. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're having a good week. If you're not having a good day or a good week, I hope it gets better simply because you're listening to this episode. I just want to remind you guys of all the really cool stuff that I have that you can access by clicking the link in the description. I released a brand new project. It's entitled Transitions. That's my latest release. You can go ahead and stream that on any and every platform that you listen to music on. I still make beats. I still do production. There's plenty of instrumentals that are available for you guys to check out. Just click the tab that, says grab some exclusive beats. You can also reach out to me if you need some custom made production, if you need some instrumentals, etc. You can book me and we can go from there. Also, if you need somebody to play piano at your up and coming event, you can book me as well. I still do that. I'm also offering a free loop pack. So if you are a musical director, a musician, anybody who plays in a band and you're looking to enhance the sound, you can go ahead and access my free loop pack. And I also have some other loop packs that are available. It has some really cool percussive elements to really make your band sound fuller. Okay, so you can access all of this by simply clicking the link in the description. Let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. I'm going to try my best to not be as long as, I've been in the past, but let's just see where we go from here. Okay. So this episode, I really wanted to zero in on comparison, right? I was sort of just sitting down, and these thoughts just began to kind of come to me about comparison and how growing up, especially, I've heard people say, don't compare, comparison kills, etc. But I thought to myself, what if comparison really isn't that bad? And so I think that's the appropriate title for this episode. Is comparison really that bad? Okay, so that's the title. I'll say it one more time. Is comparison really that bad? Now, as entrepreneurs, we're sometimes taught that comparison kills. Honestly, as humans, as people, we're sometimes taught this same principle. But what if comparison really isn't necessarily all that bad when it's used properly? What if there's an effective way of comparing or using comparison? Honestly, I believe there's a way we can use comparison to our advantage, rather than allowing it to sort of paralyze us with fear or cause us to not make progress or be productive, right? Some say comparison kills, but I say, what if comparison actually helps bring things back to life, right? So I have, 3 points to consider. And the first point is that comparison raises awareness. The second point is comparison can actually help to inspire. And the third and final point is that comparison can help with efficiency. Okay, so let's jump into the first point of how comparison can actually help to raise awareness. When comparing, it's important to consider that it's okay to be different, and that, our differences actually make us unique. It's sort of what causes us and our brand to stand out. We don't want to get wrapped up in the idea that we have to be like everyone else, but we can use comparison to sort of be aware of what everyone else is doing. I'll give you an example. So as an entrepreneur, I have to look at my peers, or even competitors, if you will. And, I got to watch what they're doing, right? If I'm often not copying them, right? I'm not copying them verbatim, but I use some of their techniques and strategies as inspiration to fuel my own ideas, right? Here's another example. Let's look at the fast food industry and all of the same companies and restaurants that might offer very similar products. We might see an ad for a specific type of brand new product that's released by one company, right? Or the number one company. And then later on down the line, whether it's immediately or whether it's a few months or even a few years in the future, you might notice that the other company or the other companies who are considered the competitors will release almost the exact same product, but with a different name and very slight differences. I believe that's an example of comparison. This company, it watched what its competitor, or these companies, they watched what their competitor or competitors did that worked for them. They studied it and they found a way to produce something similar, yet still make it their own. That sort of, that comparison is a driver of inspiration, which is actually a good segue into my next point. Comparison can help to inspire. Now let's look at it from a musical standpoint, right? I'm into music and all that cool stuff, right? So if you know any musicians, producers, or songwriters, you'll notice that there's a pattern of kind of grabbing inspiration from older art, right? I can speak from a musical standpoint. So musicians do this all the time. Sometimes as musicians, producers, songwriters, etc., we get something called writer's block or a creativity block, right? We want to produce original music, but sometimes, we get into a little funk where we're not really feeling so creative. Oftentimes, we'll go back and listen to older music that feels good, that sounds good, and we study it. We study what makes the music feel the way it feels and why it makes us feel the way we feel. We study the sounds that are being used and how they're being played. We study the chord progressions. We study the bass lines, the lead lines, etc. I believe this is a form of comparison that's bringing out inspiration. These days, we're blessed to have social media. Some might call it a curse, right? Due to the whole short attention span, doom scrolling, and possible lack of productivity, depending on how you look at it and how it's being used. But I can also consider social media to be a blessing. You can literally use social media to watch what your favorite artist, producer, entrepreneur, business person, or even leader is doing. And you can compare what they're doing with what you're doing and use it for your own motivation, your own inspiration. And you can just use it to do more or to do better. You can literally watch what somebody's doing and get an idea to do something completely different. Their simple work ethic and drive to do what they're doing can inspire you and open your mind up to creativity. And it can help you produce more and just be overall more productive. So as I just mentioned, you can sort of watch what they're doing. I think this is a great segue into my third and final point as to how comparison can help you with efficiency. If we're comparing with what others are doing, this can help to produce efficiency, right? We can compare how they're doing things with how we are doing things. Like I said, we're somewhat blessed to have social media because people, they kind of put all of their business out there, right? Let's talk about from the standpoint of being a music producer and music production. You and I can go on any social media platform and find a major music producer or even an amateur music producer who's going to document their process of creating a beat or an instrumental from the ground up. I even did it myself, so you can go ahead and check that out as well. You can watch how they do it. You can watch how they start with the process, and you can watch what it's like when it's finished. You can use this to your own advantage. You can look at the areas where they're excelling, right? You can look at the areas where they might need work. You can look at where they might have taken too long during the process to complete a certain task or step. And you can clean that up in your own workflow. And you can also watch where they might have rushed something and might not have gotten the best result and also add that to your workflow. This doesn't just go for music and production. This goes for literally everything. You can actually compare yourself with yourself, right? One thing I've done for many years is actually record myself playing. You can even watch some of my videos, and just check out the progress I've made possibly over the last 10 years or even more. And just check out how I sound back then, how I used to sound back then and how I sound now. But I've always compared myself with myself because I wanted to get better at what I was doing. I'd watch videos in which I was playing in live settings or even in my own quiet practice time and listen back to, the way I played, the mistakes I might have made, things that could be interpreted as mistakes but actually sounded really cool. And I just listen and see where I can make tweaks. So in the future, I'm sounding much more polished, much more efficient. I mentioned practice time. Sometimes I would listen to my quiet practice time and I could see, okay, what am I practicing that's a waste of time versus something that's actually going to help me as a professional musician. And I can go back and sort of modify that. So now when I'm practicing in the future, everything is done efficiently. Or if I'm completing a task like content creating or making products, creating products from the ground up, what did I do before that might have taken me longer versus what I can do now that's not going to take as much time. I can be more efficient and more productive. Okay. And that, my friends, is my third and final point. I don't think this one was as long. I'm actually considering on going on a brief hiatus again, just because I have a ton of stuff to do with the family. So this may or may not be, the last episode for the season. But, just stick around. If you want to hear more, you could reach out to me. You could send me a quick DM and say, hey, keep going. Or if you're like, this is good enough, I can go back and listen to the other 60 plus episodes. That's also fine. But before I let you go, I just want to do a quick recap of the 3 points. So the first point is comparison raises awareness. Look around and see what your competitors are doing, and then use that to your advantage to get better. The second point is comparison can help to inspire. Sometimes we can reach back and listen to the older stuff and bring it forward and be inspired to create something brand new. And the third and final point is comparison can help with efficiency. Let's look and see what our blind spots are. Let's look and compare ourselves with those who are doing what we want to do and get better at what we're doing. Thanks for tuning into this episode. And most importantly, thanks for tuning into this podcast. I really, really appreciate you. Hey, don't forget to share this with somebody that you know, love, and you're concerned about. Or you can share it with somebody that you're not even concerned about. But be sure to share it. Like, comment, and share. Also, click the link in the description. I have many more great things in store for you. Let's connect. God bless.